Every writer out there knows that cliches suck and have no business being in our stories, and yet we still fall into the trap of using them. Today I want to help you overcome cliches and write something that is truly original. What's up, guys? My name is Brandon McNulty. I'm a writer, and welcome to my writing channel. As I mentioned in the intro, today we're going to talk about writing stories that are more original. And I think when it comes to writing anything with originality, it helps to be aware of why we use cliches in the first place. And we do this for a number of reasons. I think one of the major reasons we do it is because audiences expect a certain level of familiarity when it comes to storytelling. For instance, if you gave them the choice between reading a story that is totally, entirely original or something that is like one of their favorite stories out there, they're probably going to shift toward that story that reminds them of something they've enjoyed in the past. It's just the way that people are. We crave familiarity, and I think when it comes to writing stories, you have to be aware of this, and you have to be aware that yes, you want to work with tropes that are familiar, tropes that have worked in the past, but at the same time, you also want to throw your own wrinkle into it. You want to throw your own twist into a story. And in order to write something fresh, you have to be willing to step out of your comfort zone. Usually that comfort zone will be defined by the stories that you've read in the past that you yourself are familiar with. So things that worked in those stories, whether they be characters or plot events or whatever it is, you have to be willing to take risks when it comes to your own particular story. That's the only way you're ever going to be original. So figure out your comfort zone and just get into the mentality that, you know what, I can overcome it. I can jump out of that comfort zone. I can try new things. And later on, if I have to make revisions, that's okay. I think one of the things that a lot of people are scared of when it comes to taking chances, taking risks, is that they think, okay, well, I'm already midway through the story and I just came up with this wild idea, but if I use this wild idea, then I'm going to have to change everything that came before it. And you know what? That's okay, especially if you're working on one of your earlier drafts. If you're in your first or second draft and you come up with like a solution later on in the story, or maybe a character has to make a big decision, and you see an opportunity to do something that is just totally wild, something that can really make your story stand out, do that. Don't run away from it. Don't talk yourself out of it and say, "Oh, it's going to make everything that comes before it's going to screw everything up." Don't worry about that. That's why we have revisions. You can revise, you can make the story work, you can build it around those late stage moments that are just totally brilliantly original. Yes, keep things that work, keep things that are familiar, but when the chips are down, be willing to take a risk. Now, when it comes to taking risks, you have to accept that you're going to be going against your audience's expectations. And that might make you a little uneasy, but I think in order to write anything original, you have to at least subvert some expectations or go against them fully. Give the audience the complete opposite of what they expect. Now, in some cases, giving them the opposite, they might actually see that coming, so that's another thing to keep in mind. Sometimes the opposite isn't always the best way to be original. Sometimes you have to mix things around, find something that works specifically for your story. I think one of the best tools for coming up with an original story is this idea called cycling through your options. And basically what this means is that anytime you come to make a major decision in your story, whether it's regarding your cast of characters or some plot issues, or maybe you're deciding where your story goes after the midpoint or how it ends, anytime you reach one of these major decisions, consider cycling through your options. First, start with the most obvious cliched option out there. Then come up with an alternative, something that's a little less conventional. And then come up with an option that's more different from the first two. And so on and so on. Cycle through your options, come up with the best possible option that allows for the most original story. Now, for example, let's say we're working on a story it's a haunted house story, and our main character is this little kid who goes up to his bedroom for the first time and he sees a ghost in the closet. Now, we have a lot of different ways where the kid can react here. I think the first most obvious option would be that the kid runs away screaming. We've seen that a million different times before. Our second option might be a little different. Maybe the kid sizes up the ghost. Maybe he's, trying to figure out what the ghost is or who it is or if it's a threat, and maybe the ghost just disappears after a while. Then maybe we have a third option where the kid maybe the kid just threatens the ghost or scares the ghost away. Then maybe you have a fourth option where the kid befriends the ghost and maybe tries to scare his parents or something like that. You can come up with some great original ideas if you cycle past the first couple of options. Check out your third, fourth, fifth options. Be creative. Find something new. Now, for another example, let's say we're writing an epic fantasy and we're trying to come up with the main cast and particularly the main protagonist. I think the first most obvious option would be the chosen one, the classic hero. But let's try an alternative. Let's try maybe a thief who's out for revenge. Not totally original, but it's a little better. Or maybe we could try a disgraced member of the royal family, or maybe somebody who's been ousted from the royal family, maybe somebody who's disabled, or maybe they have something working against them, or they're just completely outmatched by this society, this world. Think about characters like that. Think about ones that they aren't typically the star of these types of stories, and see if you can work them into different roles, whether it be the protagonist or side characters or villains. There's a lot of great potential out there, but you got to cycle through to figure it out. So I hope this helps. Question of the day: what is one thing you're doing to make your story more original? Let me know in the comments section below. Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to check out my other videos. Hit the like and subscribe buttons for me. Share this video with a friend. And as always, remember to keep on writing.